Hey guys, Tarke here, and I just want to say we have a aeclast coming on Saturday the 28th, and there have been some very exciting Ignite changes, which I'll be saving my discussion all for the aeclast episode with the gang, although I will just say they all look very positive, borderline OP, so I guess that's a good thing from me. So let's now talk about the aeclast topics and who's going to be joining us. We have 100% confirmed Ziz, Waggle, Shinrha, and Raiz, with a potentially Havoc coming through. Just waiting for the definite yes/no. I think he's still deciding if he actually wants to commit to having to have a conversation with Ziz for a few hours. So, as for the topics, what we talk about, and you know us, we always like to go, vastly left and right. Just a brief what's everyone been up to, what have we been going on, chance for people to introduce themselves. So if you're like, but who is Raiz? I've never heard of this fella before, that sort of thing. Then we're going to be going straight into the Ignite discussion. Lots of stuff to talk in there. Are we feeling positive about the changes? Do we think Ignite's going to become a problem again? How do you think about some of the new skill gems they're going for, etc.? Some of the skill reworks. We're seeing reworks to Incinerate, Flame Blast, Fireball, and Burning Arrow. So we talk about all of those. We've had a lot of hints at curse reworks recently, and curses were mentioned again in the last manifesto. Waggle's done quite a lot of occultist this league, and curses are always a fun thing to talk about. So we're talking about the current strength of curses. How do we change them going forward? Is it a case of offensive versus defensive curses? How do you make it better for bossing without being completely broken for mapping? So on and so forth. And this is also quite a good time to talk about, like group stuff, and we can bring the bitch boy meta in a bit. How do you feel about curse bitch boys, aura bitch boys, all of that good stuff. Also briefly touch on the bow skill rework, since that was announced after our last aeclast. Not too much there, just to cover, how do you feel about the new skills, Rain of Arrows and Blast Rain. We've got a lot of bow players on this episode. Do you think it's good? Do you think they'll actually see much use over projectile-based bow skills for clear? Tell people that the barrage nerf, it's fine, stop overreacting, you child. Slightly reminisce over Puncture Trap. From that, we'll then be going into the core flashback discussion. This is going to be one of the bigger parts of the episode. Well, mostly the Ignite thing will probably take up a lot of time, then flashback, and then we'll be talking quite a lot about Uber Elder at the end. So flashback, what league is everyone going to be playing? What are the goals we're going for? What are our sort of tips and tricks? What mods do you want to be chasing / avoiding? What builds would you recommend to people who just want to go for the easy level 95? What builds we're going to be planning ourselves? How do you feel about the Templar Laboratory trick, if it does or doesn't get fixed? Again, talking a little bit more about, the ethical SSF versus the massive group push experience, going into all of that cool stuff. And then talk about the Uber boss fight itself. We have Ziz, who's done a lot of bossing. We have Raiz, who's stolen many more's bossing build. We have Shinrha, who just lives in boss rooms. And Waggle is actually good at the game and does that. And I sometimes die on normal at 0. So we'll have a lot of talk going on there. Talk about Pathfinder / Juggernaut for physical mitigation. There's been a lot of people not understanding how good Pathfinder really is. And I know that Shinrha has been a big advocate of the Pathfinder Flask meta. And then, what do we still dislike about the Uber Elder fight? Are there any things that we want to not see going to future boss fights that is reoccurring themes? For example, on death explosions, which they keep kind of saying, oh, let's rework how the Elder death explosion, but then they keep keeping it for some reason. And then we'll probably go way, way off topic. So yes, TLDR, we are joined by people who are actually good at the game for once. No offense, anyone who's previously been on the episodes, you're all good at the game. And Ignite, by the way. So Saturday, by the way, 28th, 2 PM UK time. There'll be a timer in the description. And also, if you type !aeclast in my chat, there's always a direct link to the timer. And it's always a good time. We usually start the stream about an hour or so before the episode. And we just kind of do a live setup. And basically, I cringe really hard for an hour and try and kill time while people sleep through the start and it gets massively delayed and all that good stuff. So, yes, and as always, if you can't catch the full thing live, it gets uploaded in full onto the YouTube. So, yes, I'm Tarke. This is a aeclast. Have a good day. Bye-bye.